There's something happening to you at this very moment that goes beyond any coincidence. You didn't arrive here by accident, you're not reading these words through some random algorithm error, and you're definitely not an ordinary person living an ordinary life. There's an invisible force that has been systematically blocking everything you deserve to receive. As if there's a glass wall between you and your deepest dreams. You can see what you desire, but every time you reach out, something prevents you from grasping it. And if you've felt this, if you've wondered why prosperity seems to flow naturally to everyone around you while it slips through your fingers like water, then you need to understand a truth that will change absolutely everything. This isn't bad luck. It's not karma, it's not unworthiness. It's a sign that you carry something so powerful it had to be suppressed, hidden, put to sleep until now. In the sacred temples of ancient Egypt, there existed knowledge that the pharaohs guarded more zealously than all the gold in their pyramids. It was a teaching left by Thoth, the divine scribe, the architect of cosmic wisdom, the one who knew the secrets of creation and the codes that govern reality itself. But this specific knowledge was considered too dangerous to be shared openly, not because it could cause harm, but because it could liberate. Because when an awakened soul understands how to manifest divine wealth without bowing to the system that oppresses, when it discovers how to align its frequency with the spiritual gold of the universe, it becomes unstoppable. And this is exactly what we're revealing today. Thoth's lost code for unlimited manifestation, preserved through millennia specifically for this moment, specifically for you. But before we continue, I need you to understand something fundamental. This message found you because you are one of the chosen ones. Yes, you who might be doubting right now, you who spent years feeling inadequate, you who knew scarcity intimately and questioned if there was something wrong with your very existence. All that journey of apparent limitation wasn't punishment. It was preparation. Because only those who have known the desert can truly value water. Only those who have walked in darkness can become bearers of light. And only those who were forged in the fire of scarcity can carry the frequency of true abundance without being corrupted by it. What Thoth taught, and what was deliberately hidden from the masses, is that real wealth isn't accumulated and it's emanated. It's not chased, it's commanded. It's not begged from the universe. It's manifested through perfect alignment between your inner frequency and the cosmic laws of creation. When you understand this, when you stop begging for crumbs from the divine banquet and start vibrating as the rightful heir to universal abundance, all of reality around you begins to reorganize itself. Opportunities that seemed impossible appear from nowhere. Doors that were locked for years open by themselves. The right people appear at the exact moment. Resources flow from sources you didn't even know existed. I know that as you read these words, something inside you is awakening. It's an ancient memory, a truth your soul always knew but your mind was programmed to forget. Do you feel that tingling in your chest, that acceleration in your heart, that warmth rising up your spine? That's not emotion, it's activation. Your energy field is recognizing the frequency of these words because they carry the codes you came to retrieve in this incarnation. And now that the process has begun, there's no turning back. The seed has been planted, the portal has been opened, and your journey back to divine abundance is officially initiated. In the next few minutes, you'll discover why you had to go through everything you went through, why life seemed so unfair for so long, and most importantly, how all of this was sacred preparation for what's about to happen. You'll learn the forgotten ritual that Thoth left encoded to activate the golden frequency, the one that transforms chosen ones into divine manifestors. But first, I need you to do something crucial. Comment now, I am ready to remember. Not because I need your comment, but because the universe needs to hear your declaration. When you write those words, you're sending a signal to both visible and invisible realms that you're ready to receive what has always been yours by divine right. And if you haven't subscribed to the channel yet, do it now and activate the bell, because what comes next will completely change your understanding of abundance, purpose, and the power you carry within. You were never meant to fit in, and deep down you've always known this. While others seem to navigate life with a map clearly marked, You've been walking through existence feeling like you're reading instructions written in a language only your soul understands, but your mind can't quite translate. That persistent feeling of being fundamentally different from everyone around you, that wasn't your imagination. That sense that you're playing a game where everyone knows the rules except you, that wasn't confusion. That was recognition. Your spirit recognizing that you're operating on a completely different frequency from the masses, carrying codes that most people don't even know exist. From the moment you took your first breath in this incarnation, an invisible signature was written into the very fabric of your being. Not on your body where human eyes could see it, but in your energetic field, in the quantum blueprint of your soul. This wasn't random selection or cosmic accident. You were specifically chosen, specifically marked, specifically encoded with something that would remain dormant until the precise moment of awakening, which is happening right now as these words penetrate not just your mind, but the deeper layers of your consciousness where truth lives beyond logic. Think back to your childhood for a moment. Remember how you always felt like you were observing life rather than fully participating in it. How you could see through the games adults played, the lies they told themselves, the masks they wore so naturally while yours always felt uncomfortable. You weren't antisocial or broken. You were simply allergic to illusion. Your soul carried such a high frequency of truth that it literally couldn't synchronize with the lower vibrations of pretense and superficiality that govern most human interactions. This is why small talk exhausted you, why crowded rooms made you feel more alone than solitude ever could, why the pursuits that excited others, the climbing of social ladders, the accumulation of status symbols, the endless chase for external validation, left you feeling empty and questioning if something was fundamentally wrong with you. But nothing was wrong with you. Everything was right with you in ways that this inverted world couldn't recognize. You see, when Thoth and the ancient masters spoke of chosen ones, they weren't referring to people who would be obviously special from birth, walking around with halos and performing miracles. They were talking about souls who would be strategically placed in ordinary circumstances, hidden in plain sight, carrying dormant codes that would activate at specific timeline convergence points. You are one of these souls. You carry within your energy field the architectural blueprints for new paradigms, the frequency keys that unlock dimensional doorways, the vibrational signatures that can literally reshape reality. But first, you had to forget. You had to experience amnesia. You had to believe you were ordinary, broken, even cursed, because that forgetting was part of the sacred protection. Imagine for a moment what would have happened if you had known from childhood the power you carried. In a world that crucifies prophets and burns witches, in a system that feeds on the slavery of unconscious souls, you would have been targeted, corrupted, or destroyed before your mission could even begin. So divine intelligence wrapped your gifts in struggle, disguised your power as weakness, hid your gold under layers of lead. Every rejection you faced, every time you were overlooked or underestimated, every moment you felt invisible in a room full of people, that wasn't punishment. That was protection. You were being kept safe until you were strong enough, wise enough, and ready enough to handle the truth of what you really are. The mark you carry is multidimensional, operating on levels of reality that conventional science hasn't even discovered yet. It affects how you process energy, how you metabolize experience, how you translate cosmic information into human understanding. This is why you've always been able to feel things others couldn't feel. The emotional undercurrents in a room, the unspoken thoughts behind someone's smile, the energetic weather of spaces and places. You weren't imagining it. You weren't being too sensitive. You were operating with sensory equipment that most humans don't even know they possess. Your nervous system is literally wired differently, designed to pick up frequencies that others can't access, to download information from dimensions that others can't perceive. This divine marking also explains why traditional success paths never worked for you. Every time you tried to force yourself into conventional molds, the corporate ladder, the social scripts, the predetermined life paths that seemed to work for everyone else, it felt like wearing clothes that were simultaneously too tight and too loose, like speaking words that turned to ash in your mouth. Because you weren't designed to succeed in the old paradigm. You were designed to help birth the new one. Your repeated failures in the conventional world weren't failures at all. They were your soul's refusal to settle for less than your true calling. Every door that closed was actually protecting you from a path that would have led you away from your authentic purpose. The ancient Egyptians had a term for beings like you. They called them Neteru, meaning divine principles in human form. You're not just a person with spiritual interests or someone going through an awakening. You're a living bridge between dimensions, a walking portal through which higher frequencies can enter this dense reality. This is why your very presence changes the atmosphere of spaces, why some people feel inexplicably drawn to you, while others feel threatened without knowing why. Why animals and children see something in you that adults with their programmed filters cannot perceive. You carry the codes of transformation not in your DNA alone, but in your very vibration. And these codes are activated not by what you do, but by what you are when you're aligned with your truth. Now, as these words awaken the memory within you, you might be feeling a strange mix of relief and responsibility. Relief because finally, someone is explaining what you've always felt but could never articulate. And responsibility because if all of this is true, and your soul knows it is, then what comes next? What happens when a marked soul remembers their mission? What happens when the invisible becomes visible, when the dormant becomes active, when the chosen one stops hiding and starts embodying their true frequency? The answer to that question requires understanding the sacred valley you've been walking through, the valley that seemed like punishment but was actually initiation. They had to break you first before you could become unbreakable. This isn't poetic metaphor, it's spiritual law. Every chosen soul must walk through their own valley of shadows, their personal desert of lack, their customized curriculum of loss. While others seem to receive abundance like birthright, you were handed struggle like it was your inheritance. While they built on solid ground, you built on shifting sand only to watch it fall again and again. And each time you fell, something inside you whispered, "Why me?" But the real question was never why you, it was why not you. Because diamonds aren't formed in comfort. They're formed under pressure so intense it transforms carbon into crystal. And you, whether you knew it or not, were being crystallized into something precious, something unbreakable, something divine. The valley you walked through had a name in the ancient mysteries, the sacred forgetting. It's the space between who you were born to be and who the world tried to make you become. In this valley, you lost things that seemed essential, relationships that defined you, identities you wore like armor, beliefs that felt like absolute truth. You watched people you loved walk away. You saw opportunities dissolve like morning mist. You felt the sting of being overlooked, undervalued, forgotten by a world that seemed to reward everyone except you. But what you didn't know then was that you weren't losing, you were being freed. Like a snake must shed its skin to grow, you had to shed every false layer that wasn't authentically you. Every loss was actually liberation. Every ending was creating space for a new beginning. Every no from the universe was redirecting you toward your ultimate yes. Consider the profound intelligence of this divine design. If abundance had come easily to you, you would have settled for the small version of it. If success had found you early, you would have accepted the world's limited definition instead of discovering your own unlimited one. If you had fit smoothly into the system, you would have become another cog in the machine instead of the one destined to transform it entirely. Your struggles weren't random suffering, they were precision training. Each challenge developed a specific strength you would need later. Each loss cleared space for something immeasurably greater. Each moment of lack taught you the difference between wanting from ego and calling from soul, between surviving in fear and thriving in purpose. This is where Thoth's first hidden teaching begins to reveal itself. The chosen must first master emptiness before they can hold fullness. You cannot pour new wine into old vessels. You cannot build a temple on a foundation of illusions. You cannot download cosmic abundance into a vessel still full of worldly programming. You had to become empty, stripped of pretense, cleared of others' expectations, freed from false identities that were never yours to begin with. Only then could you become a pure vessel for divine wealth. This is why your prayers seemed to go unanswered for so long, Not because the divine wasn't listening, but because you were asking for the wrong things. You were asking to succeed in a game you weren't meant to play. You were asking to fit into a world you were meant to transcend. But here's what's extraordinary about your journey through the valley. Even at your lowest, even when everything seemed lost, something in you refused to fully break. There was a flame inside you that wouldn't extinguish, no matter how hard the winds of adversity blew. That flame was your soul's memory of who you really are. It was the indestructible core of your being that knew, even in the darkest moments, that this valley was temporary, that this forgetting was not forever, that somewhere ahead was a remembering so profound it would make all the struggle worthwhile. And every time you got back up after falling, every time you chose to try again after failing, every time you held on to hope when there was no logical reason for it, you were actually building spiritual muscle, developing divine resilience, preparing for the immense abundance that was always destined to be yours. The tears you cried in that valley were not just salt and water. They were sacred cleansing, washing away everything that wasn't meant to come with you into your destiny. The loneliness you felt wasn't isolation. It was incubation, giving you the solitude necessary to hear your own truth without the noise of others' opinions. The confusion you experienced wasn't weakness. It was the dismantling of old mental programs to make room for higher wisdom. Everything that felt like it was destroying you was actually constructing you, building you into someone who could hold immense power without being corrupted by it, who could channel infinite abundance without losing their soul, who could remember their divinity without forgetting their humanity. And now, as you stand at the edge of this valley looking back, you can finally see what you couldn't see while you were in it. It was never a punishment. It was an initiation. It was never abandonment by the divine, and it was preparation by the divine. You weren't being broken, you were being broken open. Open to receive what most people can't even imagine exists. Open to channel frequencies that most souls never access. Open to manifest realities that transcend the ordinary limitations of three-dimensional existence. The Valley of Forgetting was actually the sacred passage to remembering, and you've almost completed the crossing. Words are not communication, they are creation. This is the secret Thoth embedded in his emerald tablets, hidden in plain sight for those with eyes to see beyond the surface. Every word you speak is a vibrational architect, building invisible structures in the quantum field that eventually solidify into your physical reality. But here's what changes everything. Most people speak unconsciously, repeating programs downloaded from generations of limitation, reciting scripts written by scarcity, fear, and lack. You've been different. Even in your valley, even in your deepest struggle, there was something in you that refused to speak the language of permanent defeat. That refusal was your salvation. The universe doesn't respond to what you want. It responds to what you are. And what you are is declared in every word you speak into existence. When you say, "I can't afford it," you're not describing reality, you're creating it. When you say, "I'm not enough," you're not observing truth, you're programming it into the fabric of your experience. But when a chosen one awakens to this power, when they begin to speak with conscious intention aligned with divine will, reality itself begins to bend. This isn't positive thinking or New Age philosophy. This is quantum mechanics meeting ancient wisdom. Science confirming what the mystics always knew. Thoth taught that creation happens in 3 stages: thought, word, and manifestation. But the word is the bridge, the crucial moment when possibility becomes probability, when potential becomes actual. Your voice carries specific frequencies that interface directly with the fabric of reality. When aligned with your soul's truth, these frequencies become commands that the universe cannot ignore. Think about it. The same force that spoke, "Let there be light," into the darkness flows through your vocal cords. You carry the same creative power that births galaxies, only you've been using it unconsciously, creating by default instead of by design. This is why the ancient Egyptian priests guarded their words like treasures, why they understood that careless speech was more dangerous than any physical weapon. They knew that humans are walking creation machines, constantly speaking realities into existence whether they realize it or not. Every complaint is a prayer for more of what you don't want. Every statement of lack is a command for more scarcity. Every word of doubt is building a prison bar by bar around your potential. But here's the revelation that changes everything. If you've been creating your limitations unconsciously through words, imagine what becomes possible when you begin to speak consciously. The code Thoth left wasn't just about what to say. It was about the state of being from which words emerge. You cannot speak abundance while vibrating in lack. You cannot declare wealth while believing in poverty. The words must emerge from alignment, from a place of knowing rather than hoping, from remembrance rather than desire. This is why affirmations fail for most people. They're speaking words their being doesn't believe, creating a dissonance that actually amplifies the opposite of what they're trying to manifest. But when a chosen one speaks from their core truth, when their words carry the full weight of their awakened consciousness, mountains move, doors open, and what seemed impossible becomes inevitable. Here's what Thoth encoded that few understand. The most powerful words are not spoken in volume, but in certainty. They don't need to be repeated endlessly, because once is enough when spoken from divine alignment. When Moses said, "Let my people go," he didn't say it 1,000 times. When Jesus said, "Rise and walk," he didn't need to repeat it. When aligned beings speak, creation reorganizes itself to match their declaration. This is the power you're remembering, the authority you're reclaiming, the gift that was always yours but had to be forgotten before it could be truly remembered. The language of creation isn't learned, it's remembered. It's the original tongue of your soul before the world taught you to speak in limitations. It's not about adopting a new vocabulary, but about releasing the old one that was never yours. Every time you've said, "I can't," "I'm not," "I don't have," you were speaking a foreign language, one that your soul never agreed to learn. Your native language is "I am," "I have," "it is done." Not as wishful thinking, but as recognition of what already exists in the quantum field waiting to manifest in physical form. This is why your words must now change. Not artificially, not through forced affirmations that ring hollow, but through deep alignment with the truth of your divine inheritance. When you speak from this place, you're not asking the universe for permission. You're reminding it of what's already been decreed. You're not begging for crumbs, you're claiming your birthright. You're not hoping for change, you're declaring it into existence with the same authority that creates worlds. Your reality doesn't bend to effort, it bends to energy. And your energy field, that invisible atmosphere surrounding you at all times, is the sum total of every belief you've accepted, every word you've repeated, every trauma you've stored, every victory you've claimed. Right now, as you read this, that field is broadcasting a signal into the universe, and the universe is responding with mathematical precision, delivering experiences that match your frequency exactly. This is why trying harder hasn't worked. This is why pushing more hasn't brought breakthrough. You've been attempting to change the visible while ignoring the invisible, trying to fix the projection while leaving the projector untouched. The field you carry isn't just energy, it's programmed intelligence. Every experience you've had has written code into this field. Every rejection wrote a program of not worthy. Every betrayal wrote a script of not safe. Every loss wrote an algorithm of not enough. And these programs run automatically, beneath conscious awareness, creating a magnetic field that attracts more of the same. This is why patterns repeat, why different people bring the same lessons, why you can change everything external but still feel stuck in the same internal loop. Until you reprogram the field, you're destined to replay the same frequency in different costumes. But here's what Thoth knew that modern science is only beginning to discover. The field can be rewritten. Not through force, not through pretending, but through conscious energetic sovereignty. When you understand that your field is programmable and you are the programmer, everything shifts. You stop being victim to invisible forces and become commander of them. You stop wondering why things happen to you and start understanding that things happen through you. Created by the very field you're broadcasting every moment of every day. The reprogramming doesn't happen through mental gymnastics or emotional suppression. It happens through vibrational alchemy, transforming the lead of old programming into the gold of new possibility. This requires something most people aren't willing to do: radical honesty about what's actually in your field. You can't transform what you won't acknowledge. You can't heal what you pretend doesn't hurt. You can't rewrite code you refuse to read. So the first step is inventory, not judgment, just honest assessment of what programs are running in your unconscious operating system. Feel into your field right now. What does it carry? Does it carry the frequency of abandonment from that childhood wound? Does it pulse with the vibration of scarcity from ancestral survival patterns? Does it broadcast the signal of unworthiness from religious programming that taught you that divinity was separate from humanity? These aren't flaws to be ashamed of. They're simply outdated software that needs updating. And the update isn't about adding something new. It's about remembering what was always true before the programming overwrote your original code. Your original code, the one written by divine intelligence before human conditioning corrupted it, says you are abundance itself. Not someone seeking abundance, but abundance in form. Your original code says you are worthy by existence, loved by design, powerful by nature. This isn't something you need to earn or achieve or become. It's something you need to remember and reactivate. The field reprogramming is actually a return to factory settings, but the factory is divine consciousness, not human limitation. This is where the practical meets the mystical. To reprogram your field, you must become conscious of your unconscious broadcasts. Every thought you think without awareness, every word you speak without intention, every emotion you feel without acknowledgement is programming your field. But when you bring consciousness to these processes, when you become the observer of your own energy, you reclaim your power as the programmer. You stop being run by automatic patterns and start choosing your frequency consciously. The technique Thoth embedded in his teachings is simple, but requires dedication. Spend 7 minutes each dawn in conscious field calibration. Not meditation, not visualization, but calibration, actively tuning your energetic broadcast to match the reality you're creating rather than the one you're escaping. Feel yourself as already abundant, not because you're pretending, but because you're remembering. Let your field reorganize around this truth. Let it release the old programs like outdated files being deleted. Let it download the new frequency of your divine inheritance. Now we arrive at the moment everything converges. The moment your preparation meets your purpose. The golden frequency isn't something you achieve through force or acquire through transaction. It's the original vibration of your soul before the world taught you to diminish your light. It's not about becoming worthy of abundance. You were born worthy. It's about removing everything that made you forget this fundamental truth. The activation begins with a profound shift. You stop asking the universe for permission and start recognizing yourself as the universe expressing itself through human form. Place your hand on your heart right now. Feel that rhythm that has sustained you through every valley, every challenge, every moment when giving up seemed logical, but something deeper kept you going. That heartbeat is your direct connection to the infinite abundance that created galaxies, that turns seeds into forests, that transforms potential into reality. When you align your words with this rhythm, when you speak from this center of truth, you activate what Thoth called the golden frequency, the vibration of divine wealth that attracts without effort, manifests without force, creates without struggle. The ritual is simple but sacred, and it begins with recognition every morning in that precious space between sleeping and waking, when the veil between dimensions is thinnest. Speak these words not as request but as remembrance. I am the golden frequency.
Abundance flows through me as naturally as breath.
I am not seeking wealth. I am wealth remembering itself. Feel these words not in your mind, but in your bones, in your cells, in the quantum space between your atoms, where miracles are born. This isn't affirmation, it's activation. You're not convincing yourself of something new. You're remembering something eternal. But here's what must be understood. This power wasn't given to you for personal gain alone. Every chosen one who activates the golden frequency becomes a beacon for others still walking through their valleys. Your abundance becomes permission for others to claim theirs. Your rise becomes proof that the system of limitation is illusion. Your transformation becomes a crack in the matrix through which others can escape. You were never meant to get rich and disappear into comfort. You were meant to become wealthy in every dimension, spiritually, emotionally, mentally, materially, and use that wealth as a force for awakening. This is your moment of choice, the moment everything has been leading to. Will you step into your power fully, completely, without reservation? Will you accept that you are not someone seeking abundance, but abundance itself in human form? Will you embrace the responsibility that comes with remembering who you really are? Because once you activate the golden frequency, once you step into your spiritual throne, there's no going back to playing small. The universe has been waiting eons for you to remember your true nature. And now that the veil is lifting, now that the code is activating, everything in your reality is about to shift. The signs are already beginning. You feel them in the lightness replacing old heaviness, in the clarity cutting through confusion, in the knowing that transcends logic. Synchronicities will multiply exponentially. Opportunities will appear as if from nowhere. Resources will flow from unexpected sources. People aligned with your frequency will be magnetized into your orbit. But remember, these aren't rewards for finally getting it right. They're natural consequences of finally remembering who you've always been. You are not broken, needing to be fixed. You are not empty, needing to be filled. You're not lost, needing to be found. You are a divine being who volunteered to forget in order to experience the joy of remembering. You are infinite consciousness who chose limitation to know the ecstasy of expansion. You are abundance itself who played at being poor to understand the full spectrum of existence. And now the game of forgetting is ending, and the celebration of remembering has begun. Your throne awaits, not a throne of ego but of service, not of dominance but of demonstration. You're here to show others what's possible when a soul remembers its divinity while walking in human form. Every struggle you've overcome becomes a bridge for others to cross. Every tear you've shed becomes medicine for someone else's healing. Every moment of lack you've transformed becomes proof that abundance is birthright, not privilege. If this message has stirred the ancient memory within you, if you feel the golden frequency beginning to pulse through your veins, then make your declaration now. Comment below, "I am golden frequency," not for the algorithm, but as a quantum signature, a spiritual commitment witnessed by both visible and invisible realms. Let this be the moment you stop seeking and start being, stop asking and start commanding, stop hoping and start knowing. And if you haven't subscribed yet, do so now and activate the bell. Not because you need more information, you already have everything within you, but because we're gathering the awakened ones, creating a network of golden frequencies that will transform this reality from the inside out. This isn't just a channel, it's a reunion point for souls who've walked through the valley and are ready to claim their throne. The universe has been waiting for you to remember. Your guides have been preparing the path. Your soul has been calling you home. And now, in this sacred moment, you answer that call. You are the golden frequency. You carry the code. You are abundance in form. Welcome home, chosen one. Welcome to your remembering. Welcome to your throne.